Hey everyone, it's Dennis here from Cinovate to introduce Duzi version 4. And you might wonder, well, why have we changed again Duzi? It's now version 4. And the reason is you've asked for better handling feet, you've asked for better modulation of the shot, and always we've seen people putting these really large rigs that we never really intended for the slider. So you're putting heavy loads on, you're looking for stability, you're looking for rapid stow legs. So we kind of went back to the drawing board and we produced what we think is probably the finest, one of the finest products that we've ever done here at Cinovate. All right, so let's jump right in and look at some of the new features on Duzi V4. One of the most significant changes you'll see is the slider looks a little bit wider than it is. It's an inch wider, still fits in the same bag and pretty much covers the same footprint. But, and some of you may ask why. Well, the reason is we really needed to make room for A, increased stability, and B, probably more importantly, the actual integrated flywheel. It's the first one like it. We filed a patent on it. It's fairly unique, and as you can see, rather than wrapping belts and adding complexity to the slider itself, we decided to really focus on the car. So not only have we changed fundamentally the way the brake works, but we've also integrated this pretty snappy flywheel that's made of aluminum, so it still ends up being quite a bit lighter than some of the other flywheels out there. What the flywheel does is takes out the permutations that your muscles have. If you're using sliders and those types of products out there, you know how hard it is to get a smooth shot that you start with, that moves smoothly, and you can see I have no weight on here, so it's actually the hardest shot to do, and then stops in a particular spot and stays there. So that's what the flywheel does. It just makes this behave like I put a big cement brick on this and just increase the mass, but we do it without increasing mass. And we do it without a lot of complexity. It's all integrated into the camera car. So this is probably one of the most significant changes, improvements if you like, that we've ever made on one of our products. One of the really neat features of the flywheel is this ability to do what I call the perfect hands-free shot. So you'll see in the launch video that we drove a truck over the slider. And what's kind of cool is if you let gravity do the work and let the flywheel modulate the shot, you can do shots like this where the slider is pretty much moving perfectly, but it's doing it without any assistance from me. So this gives you the opportunity to set up your camera and just do a gravity shot that's going to be perfect because your hands are free. If you did need to remove the flywheel, it's pretty much remove the fastener here at the bottom, and it's off in seconds. So if you need to remove it for some reason, or you just want to travel lighter, it essentially lets you convert V4 to a V3 by just removing the flywheel. Every Duzi V4 will ship with the flywheel integrated and attached. Again, you can remove it, but the good news is we've added all this functionality and inertial dampening, and we've done it at a price that's really competitive with where we were on V3. What's really cool is the brake still works just as great as the V3. There's a little actuation knob here, and we pull it over and it's now locked into place. And it's doing that in a similar assembly, but now we're integrating the flywheel into it. Ever since coining the term all-terrain legs, you've seen different iterations around our sliders. We've realized that they're super important, especially for people who aren't just shooting on tables all the time. The leg itself is still a CNC 6061 aluminum anodized, so it's a really nice piece. It still has the micro adjustable foot on the end, which is again urethane. If you have asked like what's inside, well, it's stainless steel core, so it can take literally hundreds of pounds, a lot more than you'll ever put on your slider. Not only have we increased the ability of the legs to hold weight with a minimal clamping force, and in this case a lot more weight, but we've also made it super easy to store them. Rather than removing a fastener, I'm just going to give it a few turns. I'm going to flip this over and flip this in, and you can see that this is going to line up. I can go ahead and snug that, and now they're folded. So you can see I didn't have to take a fastener off, and you can see how quick it was. Again, to deploy them, assembly is reverse. All I have to do is do one of these, snug it in play, and I'm good to go. So you can see how quickly they would come into play and allow you to adjust in the field. So there you have it, the new Rapid Stow all-terrain legs. They're going to fundamentally change the amount of time it takes for you to go from site to site, or to go from fully deployed to stored in your bag. Shooting with our Duzi V4 as far as mounting, is very similar to the V3 and the V2. There's a couple of tips and tricks here you'll probably find helpful. One of the best ways you can mount the slider is to a set of sticks. In this case, this is a set of Manfrotto sticks, and it is a 100mm bowl, and we have a 100mm ball. What I like to do is just put this directly onto the bottom, thread it in, and I mean, if you're doing a lot of shooting and moving around, you could just leave this on there. But now we have a connection that involves no tripod head. It's just a ball, so you can still level it, and it's directly to the slider. So we don't have all the flex issues with the head. You drop it on, tighten it in place with the tie down, and at this point, with the bubble level, you can level the slider and be good to go with a really nice, stable setup. Now, if you're not going to use the 100mm or 75mm ball directly to the tripod, you may want to put a quick release on your tripod head. Again, it's not my favorite way to mount the slider because now you've got the head and the different flex points that the head will have. But if you're trying to do a vertical shot or you're trying to get creative with angles, you might want to have to use your tripod head. So in that case, you can go ahead and use, I like using these long plates. These are the longer quick release plates. This happens to be for a Manfrotto, I think it's an older 5/16 head. But you can take this plate and go onto the bottom of the slider. Let me just switch hands here. And we have multiple attachment points on the plate and multiple points here. So you can actually go in with 2 fasteners. And what's kind of nice about it is you can actually put this plate in place and slide it onto a tripod head without interference in many cases from the center mounted ball. Another method that you may want to use to mount your slider is the use of C-stands. And we have these 5/8 spud adapters that are provided on the end of each one of the sliders. And you can also order our tripod adapter plate. So you can actually purchase a plate from us that mounts in this location, and we'll let you use 2 tripods if you're carrying a heavy load. But for C-stand mounting, you're pretty much going to drop it right into place on some C-stands with the 5-inch spuds. I'm just going to locate that, drop it down, snug here, and you're good to go. Well, I hope that gives you a good idea of some of the differences between our Duzi V3 and V4, and hopefully you have a really good impression at this point of how hard we've worked to improve the slider. With inertial dampening, the new mounting options, the rapid store and deploy legs, we think we've pretty much made this the best slider that we've ever released. So there you go. Hope you enjoy it.